at the time it was a 10K program. So, I mean, it was a very hard year. I had to take out a bunch of credit card debt and my credit score like cut in half. It was crazy.
What is up, my dudes, friends, foes of the internet? Welcome back to my channel. Hi, if you're new here. Hi, if you are not. My name is Danielle. I make a lot of content here on YouTube, specifically debunking, discussing, talking about the problematic and at times, in my opinion, questionable behavior found in the life, spiritual, and business coaching spaces. Thanks for being here. Today we have an interview with yet another coaching industry victim. Do I want to call these people victims? I don't know. You guys can decide. This individual has an interesting story because not only did they invest in coaching programs, but they themselves were then hired by a coaching program to coach inside that program. Nonetheless, interesting conversation to be had here. Specifically, there's a part of the conversation around this concept of like why we share or feel compelled to share certain aspects of our lives on social media. I'll have a thread that I made about this pinned in the comments down below if you're interested in participating in that conversation. But I'm gonna let the interview here speak for itself. Shout out to my channel VIP members before we get started, as well as Zurify, Harrison, Tom, and Suzanne in the billionaire tier. If you want to learn about the channel membership, you can click the join button down below. That's going to be it for the intro. Let's go ahead and jump right in.
Hello, my name is Steve, and I guess I'll just start at the beginning of when it's relevant. I would say is right after I graduated college and got a career job. So graduated college in 2014, got a degree in IT, got a job in IT, quickly learned that I just didn't like the 9 to 5 and, having time outside of work and then working for the weekend. I didn't like it, and eventually stumbled upon this sort of, I guess you could call it a get rich quick scheme, but it was more so just like, start your own business, have the freedom lifestyle. It really marketed towards like a laptop lifestyle, like travel and, whatnot. I just wanted to be able to replace my income. And it was from some like men's self-esteem coach kind of individual who would teach you how to like, get in shape, how to be confident. And then it was like, hey, I've got this money making opportunity. And so I kind of dove into that and got into his free courses, and then didn't really work out. And then from there is a bit of trial and error for a couple of years. And so in 2018, I joined a program for starting a fitness business because I really love to work out, and I got some good success from that. And that's when I felt confident enough to quit my job, which I did in 2018. And so whenever I quit my job, things were going well. And then the business started to decline. I got a lot of anxiety and just a lot of fear around sales and just overwhelmed overall. And then the program that I was in that taught me how to build my fitness business actually eventually got hired on to work for that company because they saw that I was so overwhelmed. And, they saw that I was really involved in the community. I was helpful to everybody. So they just hired me on as a coach. And it was, very stressful at times. I got paid about the same as I did in my day job. So, I mean, it wasn't like bad pay or anything, but it's just a very stressful environment. And I did that for about 3 or 4 months and just couldn't handle it. And it was, I just really clashed with the head of this coaching program. We just didn't get along very well. I quit that job to start my own thing. And so I run Facebook ads for online businesses, and that's what I still do to this day. So that was about 6 years ago is when I had started my own, doing Facebook ads. And so quit the coaching job, the assistant coach job, started my own agency. And then from there, it was more trial and error. Just went through a couple of, coaching programs, tried one out, didn't work, tried second one, it worked okay. Tried a third one, it worked a little bit better, but not where I wanted it to be. And then eventually just tried my own things for a while. Then I went back to that first coaching program and just kept on applying the stuff that I learned there. And what I found out is that it actually worked. I just didn't, do it the right way. A lot of things within that, which I'm definitely want to get more into detail of why that program didn't work while I was in it, when I was getting one-on-one help. But in the future, when I just did it myself, I got a lot more success. Fast forward to today. I wouldn't consider myself as successful as these other, gurus, but I have been able to replace my income from the job that I had after college. So I would consider that success. And yes, that's where I'm at today. Just been kind of doing my own thing. I've been sober in terms of coaching programs. I haven't joined a single program in like 4 years. Just kind of doing my own thing, and things are going a lot better now. And so yeah, I think I've just doing my own thing and sticking with what I know works, and not getting sucked into the shiny object syndrome, I think has really helped me a lot with seeing success on my own.
I think that's super relatable because I was having this conversation yesterday with a friend of mine who works in consulting, and she is currently working on a research piece about the coaching industry and sort of the implications of that. So we were having this conversation about how both of our experience has been that once we stopped investing in whether it was one-on-one coaching, courses, online webinar workshops, whatever, was when we started to see the most growth in our business because we were no longer crowded with like all of this noise of you should do this, you shouldn't do that, oh, you should do that, no, you should do this. And it's like, who do I listen to when everyone's contradicting each other and nobody seems to know what they're doing? So I thought that that was an interesting point to bring up. I would be curious to hear more about specifically your experience working as a coach in a coaching program that's not yours, because this is something that comes up a lot in the conversations that I have is people signing up for a program thinking they're going to work with Jane Doe. Then all of a sudden they get on the call and it's Sally that's hosting the call. And they're like, what the fuck? I thought I was getting coaching from Jane. Why are you here? So you are the Sally in this situation. And I want to know what that experience was like.
I mean, I feel like I did a really good job at helping the clients that I was helping out, because I had seen success with my fitness business. I got like a lot of new clients. It just, like I said, the overwhelm of everything together, the sales, marketing, fulfillment, website design, funnels, at just everything together was really overwhelming. And so I was able to help out people in that program really well because I had actually walked the walk and seen success. And some people just had more passion than I did. They had more work ability than I did. They had something that I didn't have, that I wasn't just able to stick with it, whatever. I mean, I was a bit younger. I feel like if it were me now, I'd be able to do a bit better. But I feel like I did pretty good at helping them out. But there were certain people who were a little bit upset, not too often, that, they were upset that they would come in wanting to work with one-on-one with the head honcho, and then they would get an assistant coach or some sort. It wasn't that big of a deal. I'd say like I saw it more so as a big deal with other programs that I joined myself. Because the thing is, with the program that I was working for, I worked with like a small team of other people in my same situation, like saw success for a while and they got kind of burnt out and this needed some money. Was basically the situation. I joined other programs where people would coach me, and let's say their name was like John. So I'd be coaching with John. He would help me with my website offer, whatever it might be. And then I would go back and listen to old coaching calls from that program. And I would hear John's voice come up. Oh, it's John, I just talked to him yesterday. And I would hear him talking, saying like, oh, I've made 0 sales. I haven't done it. And like, wait, so he made 0 sales his whole time in the program. And now he's coaching other people. So I thought that part was really unethical, that it's just, failed clients. I guess to me, I'd be another level of failed client because I was seeing success at first, but people that just never sold a single product of their offer. I just feel like that part was unethical.
Did you, I know you said that you and the like head coach had a bit of a falling out. So then what was the exodus from that sort of situation like?
It's hard for me to recall the exact situation, but it was just like when I first joined the program, he was very humble and very down to earth. And then all of a sudden he got into some very overly alpha mentality, and he became more of like a, whatever you want to, cult leader of some sort, dictator of kind of level. It was just very difficult to work with someone that had that level of like, dictatorship. He never felt like he was wrong. Since then, that program has shut down and itself. I mean, typically programs don't work for, or don't stay around for longer than a couple of years, if that. So, I mean, that one's been long gone. He's doing his own thing now. He seems a lot happier with what he's doing today. But just at a certain time, he got into this very like overly alpha sort of stuff, and it really bled over to how he was treating his employees. And it was very frustrating. Funny story, he would do these like one-on-ones. They would call it a hot seat, and he would work with a client one-on-one. It'd be like the typical group coaching call, but I think the way that he did it was he would just do one client at a time. So he would have a hot seat who would work with one client for like a full half hour. Everyone can join, listen in, take notes, learn from the session, right? There was a time where he did a hot seat with someone, and the way that he talked to this client he was working with was it was so esoteric and just very mindset and very like it wasn't very specific. Like this guy came to the call, his ads weren't working, his lead cost was too high, he whatever, just typical business issues. And the guru of this program kind of went into like the mindset, or like start asking him like what's your purpose, what do you really want out of this, and then it's like at the end of it, the client is like, he feels embarrassed to be like, okay, I still don't know what to do. So at the end of the call, he's like, oh, that's really great, man. I feel so much better. I feel like I have a lot of clarity on what to do. Literally, as soon as that call would end, he would send me a direct message and say, Steve, I still don't know what do I do about my Facebook ads. So he would come to me for help for the technical stuff when, with this hot seat, he wouldn't get the help that he wanted. He just kind of got gassed up and kind of, told a bunch of things to feel good. And then once he was off the call, he's like, I feel good, but I'm still don't know what to do exactly. So just kind of that pattern of behavior was very difficult to work with as well. Another story related to this where I mean, it was almost like nothing was ever good enough for them, because they never wanted to say like, oh, Steve, you did a good job. They wanted to always like, what could you have done better? They always wanted like question you and test you. And so like there was a time where I got on a one-on-one call with a client. We went through his entire Facebook ad funnel, his ad. I helped him rewrite a script, like helped him very, very closely. And I felt good about it because he felt good. We redid his ads. And then and we recorded the coaching sessions. I sent it to the boss, and the only feedback they had was that like I let the client talk too much. It was almost as if they wanted me to act like I guess like a sort of like a drill sergeant type of way. Like, instead of letting the client like ramble around, like they want you to be like, okay, cut to the chase. Just tell me simply, what do you want to do? Or what do you need help with? And it's like, I was just there to help them. And they didn't care that I helped this individual. They're like, that call took way too long. It's like, I mean, he felt like I got help from it. So just this whole mentality of like super alpha and, just like bossing people around, it just wasn't me. I just didn't relate to that way of helping people. I just wanted to help people, whether that was having them talk my ear off to get to the next point or whatever it was. All they saw was that, oh, they talked too long, and oh, you looked like you were inferior, Steve, when you're talking to them. And I just thought that was really unfair of them, and I just couldn't. That's just not how it worked.
It's also kind of funny because if you look at like the traditional sort of format of coaching, typically I believe it's supposed to be like 80% the client talking and 20% the mentor. So if you think about like actual coaching,
Yeah,
that's how it should be. The client should be talking. Like you
yeah,
shouldn't be telling them what to do in the first place. So
yeah, exactly. It was just they just couldn't, they just weren't consistent. They wanted me to help people, but not that way, but this way. And so yeah, I mean, as I'm sure anyone can imagine how stressful it is when you're doing a good job and you just don't, they still find something to like nitpick and nag you for one little thing. So I don't recall what exactly the one instant but of like, oh, I quit, but it was just like multiple times of instances like that, or just button heads with the owner. In my kind of like goodbye message to him video, I basically told him that he was like, he just was acting like a jerk lately. And other employees in my same position, they started to see the same stuff. So like, when I exited that whole community, I wasn't surprised when it all like collapsed on each other, on itself. A lot of, not a lot, but like a couple of people kind of went through the same thing where they started to see like, oh yeah, he's like totally narcissistic. I had to leave that environment. And they're like, Steve, it's it's good on you that you left as early as you did, because it just kept on getting worse, is what happened.
yeah, that makes sense. So then just remind me again. So you are coaching in this program, you end up quitting, you leave. Is that when you launched the agency?
Yeah, it was like probably the same month that I quit, was like, okay, I'm going to do my own agency.
Okay, and then you hired another coach after that.
Yeah, probably 2 months into it is whenever I hired another coach to get help with the agency business.
Okay, so what was the promise of that? That they would help you like learn how to build an agency?
It was just a very generic, like how to build a business coaching program. So they had agencies in there, they had coaches, they had freelancers. So it was just a general how to build a business, how to build an offer, sales, marketing, organic, get leads, and all that stuff.
Gotcha. And what was your experience there?
In hindsight, because I'm at where I'm at now because of that individual program, but at the time it was a 10K program. So I mean, it was a very hard year. I had to take out a bunch of credit card debt and my credit score like cut in half. It was crazy, but I think it just makes for a cool story. Now I'm here talking to you about it. So hey, it was good that it happened. The 400 credit score was worth it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just interviewing someone this morning and we were having this conversation about how I was saying, like, would I ever, in hindsight, hire the business coach that I hired in 2018? No. However, I will say I wouldn't have this YouTube channel if I
Yeah.
didn't hire that business coach. So things suck, yes, and people are horrible, but they all lead us, somewhere else. So
Yeah, I agree. And so, and to get in more detail of how my experience was, I mean, the material that was in the coaching program was absolutely phenomenal. Even still to this day, I'll go back and rewatch and like this still it's really based on like psychology and like marketing, sales. A lot of this stuff doesn't really change. And so, going back to it, it's like, yeah, this stuff really it still applies today. And so I'd say the biggest issue that I had with that program was just like I said earlier, the one-on-one coaching. I was being coached by failed clients. And, I believe something that really got me off track was working one-on-one with someone who helped me like construct my offer. And it was like, I mean, it was a very bad offer. And it was like, there's too much included with it. And the pricing was kind of weird. So like I was able to like the stuff in the program that help you like get on calls, get leads. That worked well for me because I recall like talking to like a dozen or so people when I was in that program and pitching this offer, but it just I didn't make a single sale of that offer. And so I just feel like the quality of the help that I was getting was just not ideal for me to see success during my time in that program.
right, that's fair. And then you finish that program. You sign up for another program? Is that right?
Yep, I was addicted. I tell you, it was one after the other. And so I signed up with another program that was specific to how to grow your agency. So I went through that and actually got a couple of clients, but not like not like long-term clients. I sold a couple of like one-on-one consulting calls where I just worked with them for an hour. They paid me like $100 or $200, something like that. So I got a couple of those sales, but it was that program was very tactical. It relied on a lot of like tools that I don't even think work anymore. It relied on doing like automations and like DMing a bunch of people automatically, and there was like limits, and it's just one of those things that's very reliant on the very specific tactics that as soon as a software update comes out, your business goes under.
Gotcha. So if you could go back, I guess, to the infancy of your agency, do you think, like now, knowing now what you know, do you think you'd still make those same investments? Because I know you've mentioned a couple times that, yeah, there was some helpful stuff that I learned. Do you think that it was genuinely worth the price that you paid, though?
I don't think so. I think so there's three main programs. We're talking about program 2 right now. I think that one was like $1,800. It was actually very cheap in comparison to other
In the
programs.
coaching world.
The coaching world, it was dirt cheap. It was yeah, it was very cheap. And so that one, I mean, I don't the $1,800 one, I made maybe $600 back from it. I wouldn't consider it because as soon as I got done with it, I quit using the strategies they talked about and taught you. So yeah, for that second one, I wouldn't say that was a good investment. In hindsight, I would not have done that if I could go back again.
Yeah. And then you had one more program after that, you said.
Yeah. So that one was another grow your agency coaching program, and there's a lot of interesting things in that program where I mean, like I got a couple of clients, I got 3 clients, but the system that they teach you was just to outsource everything, so your profit margins are small and the quality of the work is really bad. So as soon as the contract is over, the client doesn't want to sign on again. So that kind of fell apart. And but interesting in that business or in that program, I kind of saw the same thing that I mentioned for program number one, where I would see these failed clients start coaching other people, and they would have no, like, there's one individual who was in there for like a whole probably year or something. He was in there for a long time, and he would help out with a little bit of coaching the other clients, and it was funny. Just one day, he's like, "I made my first sale." I'm like, what do you mean you made your first sale? You've been in here for a year. You're teaching everyone else how to sell and do this stuff. And so I was like, man, that's kind of says a lot about the program. If you're the person you trust to coach your clients has been in there for a year and didn't make a sale until that day, I just think that's kind of unethical in my opinion.
It's very reminiscent of the current state of like digital marketing, master resale rights. If you've been following that at all, it's like
No,
a lot of these people have Instagram bios that read like teaching you how to make passive income from home.
yeah,
And then they'll go on threads and be like, after 8 months, I finally made my first sale. And I'm like, wait, I
oh
thought you
no,
were teaching me how to make passive income and you haven't even made any money. Like the math
wow.
isn't mathing here.
That's so it sounds like it's gotten even worse since I was in it.
Yeah, and like this isn't even coaching. This is like outside of coaching. It's like in the
Okay.
digital product space. So it's like these patterns and habits and behaviors that infiltrate one industry. Once it gets saturated and people start to catch on, like, oh, okay, coaching is the scam.
Hmm.
Let's create a new one. So now we're in like the
Oh.
digital marketing space. And now, like, who knows what's next? Make your guesses in the comments because I don't know.
Well, I'm just grateful that I'm out of that whole shiny object syndrome and joining program after program. Like, I'm happy that what I'm doing works for me, that I'm able to have my own business. So it's sad to see that things are still even getting worse. And the people that I see you talk about or the people that you interview, I mean, I feel really bad for all of them. That it just seems like the marketing is getting worse and more unethical from, because I still follow a lot of these internet people. So I see from like the marketing standpoint, but from like the fulfillment, the promises, and the upselling, I don't get to see that because I haven't joined anything in so long. But it's just sad to see that people are still being unethical out there.
Exactly. And I think that's why it's so important we have these conversations because while to someone like you or me who are now like far enough detached from it that we can kind of, easily see the red flags. Like if I see a Facebook ad promising to make me $10,000 in 30 days, I immediately can assume it's a scam because I know. But if I'm someone who maybe isn't as attuned to what's going on in the space, or I don't spend a ton of time consuming content on the internet, I might be more inclined to believe this woman that's telling me she has a secret to getting rich, right? So by having these conversations, really the intention, as much as I love talking, is to raise awareness about what's happening to hopefully prevent people from spending whatever 10. How much money did you say you spent in total? Like
Oh,
15,000?
in total, it was probably 15 to 20,000 total.
Exactly. So it's just like, and I mean, that's on the low end of people that I've talked to. So
Yeah. Oh
it's
yeah.
it's wild. There's like literally no end depending how deep you get into it. I was having another conversation with someone and we were discussing the sunk cost fallacy. So
Hmm.
you make an investment in a program, it's whatever, $10,000 and it was, nah, okay, I learned a couple things. Maybe if I buy this next program for $5,000, it'll make the $10,000 one worth it because I'll get my return this time. And then you just keep going and going and going. And then next thing you know, you've mortgaged your house or something to pay for all this coaching. So
Yeah, yeah. I kind of feel like I was in that situation where I needed the next program to pay for the $10,000 program that I was in, because I thought it was just like a tactic or a little like hack with like mini chat or ClickFunnels or some little tool software hack that would fix everything. But like I said, once I got back to the foundation of just have a good offer, be good at selling, know how to tell people that you're good at what you do, have like a good lead magnet, and I'll just have the good marketing foundations, then it works for you, is what I found out just after spending so much. That's kind of what I found. Just go to the basics, it works.
exactly. I don't know if you saw it, but I did an interview with a lawyer probably about 2 months ago now, and I'll link it here in the cards. But she discusses this concept of like, as long as you keep believing that there's something wrong with you or wrong with your business, you're going to continue to make these investments because these people are like convincing you, like, yes, Steve, you don't know this one secret, but if you pay me, I will teach you the secret.
Yeah. Yeah, they really I mean people in general in certain situations they're very vulnerable with, they're at a job they don't like or they just don't make enough money for the lifestyle that they want to live or whatever it might be. And so it's predatory in a sense where they're very susceptible to make your own money, escape your 9 to 5 and things like that. And yeah, so it can be easy for these, coaching scammers and unethical business owners to easily, you know, just strike a chord with someone that is feeling that lowness and they're vulnerable and they'll literally pay anything just to get out of their situation. And then they just the thing that I noticed is that these who you talk to in a sales conversation with, if you're trying to get to a coaching program, obviously in most cases the head coach is going to hire a salesperson and then you talk to that salesperson, right? The salesperson has an incentive on their own selfish incentive to get a close. They don't care if you're qualified. Yeah, they want the money. They don't care if you're qualified. They don't care if you know, they don't think you'll do well in the program. They just got to get the sale and get you into the program and then they'll make their commission. And so even that level of it, just the sales level, they're trying to make money themselves. So they'll give you this bullshit, tell you oh, you're so qualified, you're going to do so well. I can't wait for you to join. And in their head, they're thinking man, rent's due soon. I need to get a couple of commission checks in. And, they don't care about taking advantage of these, vulnerable people, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's so true. And that's a story that I hear often. I did, again, another interview, which again, I'll link here, with a woman who was on a call. She thought she was getting on a sales call with the person who ran the program. Shocker, when she got on the call, it was a salesperson instead.
Mm-hmm.
So that was red flag number one. Then the salesperson is explaining this program to her. And she was like, oh, this doesn't even make sense. I'm not a good fit for this. So in her head, she's like, they're going to tell me you're not a good fit and let me go. No, what happens at the end of the call? You're the perfect fit for this program. Pay us whatever it was, $5,000-$6,000. So she ends up paying it, gets in the program. Sure enough, not a good fit. Program didn't end up working out. Now she's out her whatever $6,000. And I think it's a really unfortunate situation because, again, if you're not someone that's privy to the sales tactics that these people use, you've never been on a high pressure sales call before, you don't know how to get out of that. So you're again desperate for a solution. This person is promising you, even though it doesn't feel like this is the right fit, oh, trust me, it's the right fit for you. And then unfortunately, you just kind of end up in these situations where you pay for these programs that probably weren't the best investment.
Yeah, I agree. And I think with where I'm at now, where I've done a lot of sales calls for my own business, I do have that awareness of when I'm being gassed up or even just in everyday situations, it really comes in handy with when I need to get a new apartment or if I ever go to buy a car, I'm very aware of the certain things and tactics that they use. And I'm also confident enough to leave the situation if I need to. I got on a sales call a month or two, probably about 3 months ago. I was actually looking to join back into the coaching. I was ready to re-drink the Koolaid, Danielle. I was like, I want to get back into it. There's got to be something that's going to get me to that next level. But I was just curious because it was actually from that first program that I got really good results with. I went back into see they have a new offer, a new thing. So I was like, I'm gonna get on a call with them, see what they have to offer. And it just sounded like it was the same stuff that they've been teaching already. So I was just, not really interested in it. But the salesperson that I talked to, his sales tactic was just to kind of throw out a number that I could have where he's like, how much do you charge per hour? And I'm like, oh, $100 or $200 an hour. He's like, how about $2,000 an hour? And I'm just sitting there okay, what that didn't do anything for me. I'm that, how? So I guess I'm sure that number or that tactic works really well for people who are really vulnerable. Maybe they're they're on consulting calls all day, they're charging $30-$40 an hour, and they have to do all this that, and they're oh, how about we have you charge $1,000 an hour? And it's this salesperson doesn't know how you're going to do that. They're just going to sell you the dream. That's a big thing that I see. They sell the dream, then once you're bought in, they see that it's not real.
1000%. I would be curious to hear then, I guess, what advice you would have for someone who maybe is in that position that you were in, whatever, 5, 6 years ago, however long ago, of like not really being aware of what's going on here and just simply, maybe wanting to start a business, an agency, whatever. Like, what would you say to them?
I say the biggest advice that I can give to someone is to look for things that are very, what I like to think of as like tried and true methods. Don't look at something that someone just discovered last month and now they're reselling this thing, because next month is going to be something else. Those are the people that are selling. They're like the carrot on the stick, just keep on dragging you along. They sell you a new dream. First it's agencies, and then it's AI, and then it's drop shipping, and then it's drop servicing, and they keep on trying to sell you the next dream. I believe that, look for people that have been in the industry for a while. They have like a good track record of, they stay consistent. I say that's a very big thing. Look for consistency over a long period of time, because then that shows that they've like mastered this like one craft, whatever it is that they're good at. So that's one thing that I would say. And, I would also say to potentially look into things that are more specific to like your niche and your whatever business it is you're going to be doing, whether it's, if you're going to start an agency or you're going to do like fitness coaching, go to an agency business specialist, go to the fitness business specialist and get that like very specific help. I see a lot of these coaches that sell very generic coaching, and then they just work with everybody, and they need really individual help for their specific situation. So that's another thing that I would recommend, is look for programs or people who have worked with people in your situation, that have helped people get to the goal that you're looking to reach.
For sure. And then do you have any specific like red flags that you would say to avoid?
So in theory, it's easy. No tech. You just hire this person. You get a client. It's all good. They sell you the like what in theory it could be like or what it should be like. They say like, you get on 10 coaching calls, you sell 3 of them at $5K each. Now you're making 15 grand a month. That's like the theory that they sell you, the dream sort of. But then in reality, instead of 1 out of 10, it's more like 1 out of 30. And then you have to spend, $15,000 in ads to get your funnel to work and all these different things. They don't sell you like the reality of it. So I would say just like be aware of when you're being sold something that sounds too good to be true, and try to think of like, try to think like realistically if possible.
For sure. And I think having a certain level of self-awareness too is important, because sometimes it's like I might not have the specific skill set or personality to be successful in something, but this coach is telling me, "Oh,
Mhm.
you're super introverted and shy. I'll make you into a star salesperson." Like, probably not,
Mhm.
but so just being realistic too with your own skill set, I think is super important.
Yeah, I agree. And I'd say don't be afraid to work with someone that where you use your own skill set and let it blossom, really, like what you said earlier about, or just a second ago, about introvert versus extrovert. When it comes to my opinion on can everyone succeed, I think no. I think that there's certain like personality types, there's certain emotional intelligence, social awareness, things like that, where you can't do everything in a business. And that's why, most people don't do everything in a business. They find something that really heeds to their strengths. If they're very logical and technical, they go into coding or website design or ads. That's actually, because I was in IT for so long, going into ads was very easy to tap into that logical part of my brain. I needed to learn the sales side of things and the kind of extroverted side of me to see success. So I would say for those that, if you really know who you are in terms of the way that you like to work, if building a business isn't possible with, kind of the set of, skill sets that you have, then it's totally fine to like work for a company. And, even if it's not like a coaching company, but just like some other like company, like a real company, I guess, if you will, who,
A regular job. Ugh,
a
I'm
regular
just
job,
kidding.
yeah. Because I mean, even today, there's so much like work from home where like I've got some friends that have like just as much freedom with when they can work as I do. So I think like, with that opportunity these days, I think there's a lot of I think there's a lot more opportunities out there that are better than a business, because you have to do one thing. You can work from home or you can work at a cafe, and just the remote work in general, it's gotten a lot more, popular these days. So I'd say
It's
if
so much more common. I mean, I think back when I left my job in 2018, no one, very few people that I knew had remote jobs. And I remember like my job was basically filling out Excel spreadsheets every
oh
day. I've
yeah,
told this story a million times. And every day I would be like, can I please do this from home? And my boss would be like, you can't do that because blah, 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 blah. COVID hits. What happens? The girl who took my job after I left was working from home because they
oh no,
realized when we have to, I guess you can fill out Excel spreadsheets from home. But
yeah,
it's just like I think that the pandemic specifically really changed a lot for a lot of businesses. And now the opportunity to have those jobs that are flexible and allow you that like freedom that a lot of people who wanted to leave their 9 to 5 to find that can find now in the construct of a regular 9 to 5 job. And you get a steady paycheck. So I mean,
yeah, I agree. It's definitely a good time for people like that want to work the remote or have a little bit more flexibility, or they don't want to have to commute to and from work. Like the opportunities are definitely out there if you just keep on looking for them.
I think that entrepreneurship in general tends to get like over glamorized online. And I don't think, first of all, that everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. I think it
Yeah.
takes a very specific personality type to be successful. And I also just think that there's a lot of shame around like, oh, you work a 9 to 5 job. I'm like,
Mhm.
damn, if I could find a 9 to 5 job that I actually liked, I would get one. But
Yeah.
I haven't found one yet.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's a big thing that I've noticed with entrepreneurs is they're very like narcissistic. They like to bring others down to make themselves feel better. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs just have like very low like self-esteem and very low insecurities. Because I noticed that just a lot of these entrepreneurs, the way that they like talk about their successes is almost like they need a constant 24/7 pat on the back. They just constantly need some, I made a sale today, I did this today, I did that today. And they're just like constantly needing reinforcements and just like congratulations for every single thing that they do every day.
The validation, and I think
Yeah.
I see that mostly in the ones that use, and I mean, I've talked about this at length, the ones that use their revenue, total revenue as a marketing tactic. So like, "I run $1 million business." It's like, "Okay, but how much of that is profit?" And
Yeah.
also, what do you want me to say? Like, "Cool, good job, gold star for you."
Yeah. It's like what it's
My
kind of
clients
awkward.
don't hire me because of how much money I make. My clients hire me for the work that I do for them. So it's just like it's a very weird thing that doesn't work for me. If it works for you, great, but
it
I'll
it, te-
pass.
it works on the very insecure and vulnerable people, that want to be in that lifestyle, really.
Yeah, it's unfortunate too because I think that's the kind of stuff that really pulls people in, like people who are enticed by that lifestyle. That's what draws them to the industry in the first place. So
It's funny, like I'll see these gurus where they'll do something, they have a business and they have like a ton of like a huge following, and they're always trying to sell like the new method that they just did, or like they'll make an Instagram post and they'll make like $10,000 off of it, and then the next week they'll say, take my master class on how I made $10,000 with one Instagram post. And it's like, and then it's like the next week, find out how I created a webinar that I sold $50,000 in 1 hour. And they're just constantly like reselling the thing that they did. And what's unethical, in my opinion, is like the thing that they're teaching, that the next step, it only works because they are them. They have the following. It's like, this is kind of a larger example. Like if Kim Kardashian was selling a course on how to make $1 million with one single Instagram post. Like, all right, step one, post on Instagram. Step two, be Kim Kardashian. Shit, this is gonna work for me. Yeah,
exactly. I see that a lot. Like I'm obviously in the social media space, so I see that a lot with these like gain 50,000 followers in 50 days because this one person had one reel that went viral and got 1 million views and then they got 50,000 followers overnight. And it's like, okay, so you want me to make a viral video? Perfect. I'll get right on that. I
yeah.
hadn't thought of that yet.
And then when you go through, like, if the method that they're selling, you go through it and they're literally just like telling their story of how they did it. They're like, which doesn't apply to anyone that's watching. It's like they just want to pat on the back, but they want to charge you so you can hear their story. And then like it doesn't work for anyone else because it might be someone that's starting from scratch, or like the guru has 100,000 followers, the people that have like 1,000 or 2,000 followers are watching. It's like, oh well, that won't work for me, but they still get paid just to like brag about their success story, you know?
Exactly. It's really unfortunate. And I don't know if it's ever going to end, honestly. So that's why we're not going to shut up about it. So
I think the FTC seems to be cracking down on a lot of income things. So hopefully that kind of makes, gets rid of some of these unethical claims and whatnot.
I'm hopeful that the more that people like us have conversations about this, it will start to bring awareness and actual change in terms of people getting in trouble for being unethical.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know. Do you have any parting words of wisdom before we wrap things up here?
I mean, I would just say for those that are struggling, just keep on trying. I feel like I'm in a unique position because I've reached some level of success. So I'm not entirely jaded, but I'm also aware that there's a lot of unethical marketing and a lot of scam going on there. But I believe that, if you're trying to start your own business, there's definitely, there's a lot of opportunity out there. You just, may not have found the right thing. There's definitely a lot of free resources, a lot of books. I would say just, if you're trying to start your own business, be willing to fail on your own and figure it out on your own. It'll give you a lot more confidence to figure it out on your own than to hire all these coaching. Because like I said, I went through 3 programs, and it wasn't until I started going on my own and applying was already out there is when I saw success. So
awesome. Thank you so much for coming on and for sharing your story. I really appreciate your time and your perspective. So thank you so much. All right, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this interview. If you have a scam story that you would like to share either in an interview format or you want me to just read your story out here on the channel, I have the form where you can submit your stories linked in the description down below. Come join us over on the Danielle Ryan subreddit as well. I hope you enjoyed this interview. And if you did, perhaps you will like this one as well, where I speak with a woman who became a life coach at 20 years old. Take care, comb your hair, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!